What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. It's been a while. I guess, well, it hasn't been a while. It's felt like a while. I did post some videos up last week following my time at Emerald City Comic Con. It was a great time. Shout out to Agu. Shout out to Naman Young, who was supposed to go, but he got COVID, and that kind of threw a wrench in our plans. But I think I did a video or an interview following the con on how nothing went according to plan. I made all these plans, and um, bit by bit, the plan fell apart. But we did still make it to Comic Con. We did still have some money to spend there, and uh, overall, it ended up being better than expected, even with all the things that didn't fall through. And part of the reason was I got to connect with some great artists at Comic Con. Um, got some signed books, got a key book. Um, yeah, overall, in terms of objectives, it ended up being um, Plan B ended up being as good as Plan A, so if not better, from a certain standpoint. And we'll go over what I got. Um, I do want to add also that prior to Comic Con, I purchased two books. One of them is here, and another one will be here on Monday. And that's a milestone book. It's my 200th Jim Lee book. So if you're curious to know what that 200th book is, I'll probably go on live on Monday in the evening at some point, and we'll unbox that book as well. So we'll be unboxing this one. This is another really big book. Uh, I'm surprised I got it for the price that I got it. So hopefully the condition is good, and we'll reveal what that is. Now we're gonna get into the Comic Con haul, but I already kind of revealed the Comic Con haul through uh, an Instagram short and a YouTube short, just kind of going through the books really quickly. But I didn't get a chance to really talk about um, or expand upon what we picked up. Even I did a video following the con with Naman where we went over what I picked up, and even that we kind of just went through it really quickly. So this one incorporates not only the Comic Con haul, but also some books I picked up prior to the haul. So I went to Jeff's, really looking to pick up just some books either to get signed or books that I could, pick up really cheap for a quarter, things that were on my radar. And hey, Hung, what's up? And so I was able to do that. We went to Jeff's. I dug through the quarter bins. I found a few books. I also went to Milky Comics, dug through their 50-cent bins, picked up some books. So we'll go over what I picked up prior to the con and at the con as well. Okay, so let's start. The first book on this sort of haul list is Weapon X #1. This is the first issue in the Wolverine Age of Apocalypse series. They were all sort of 4-issue standalone breakouts. I think X-Men turned into like Astonishing X-Men, and then Uncanny X-Men turned into um, what was it? The Amazing X-Men. Wolverine turned into Weapon X, and this alternative storyline that came about with the death of Charles Xavier has a short-haired Jean Grey who's hooked up with a one-handed Wolverine. And it's just a really cool take on a character. Now, I have multiple copies of this, as you can see. But at the 50-cent bins at Mill Geek, I ran into a newsstand copy. And you don't run into that all that often. So it was really clean copy. This could come back a 9.8 newsstand. And I just love this sort of crossover event, title crossover event. It was a really big event in the 90s for the Marvel Universe, at least on the mutant. It affected the whole universe, right? Because then we got like the 2099 spinoff. We got, anyway, it just was a big ripple in the Marvel Universe. It did reset at the end of this, but there were some, things that occurred even after it didn't completely reset. There were things like, X-Man. He ended up coming to, following along in that timeline, which is like the younger version of Cable. X-Men is, right? So a couple of things. It was a really good. I enjoyed it so much. It was what I was collecting back in the day. So again, ran to a newsstand copy for 50 cents. Didn't want to pass that up. Okay, moving on. There's some murmuring that Nightwing might be coming to the DCEU, and so I ran into this copy, Nightwing Zero, for 25 cents at Jeff's. Clean copy. Hey, Nornrad, what's up? Thanks for joining, man. Picked up a clean copy for 25 cents, kind of like a spec book, I guess. We'll just hang on to that and see where that goes. It's a nice, cool red version of the Nightwing costume. So that's, I think, the first appearance of that, which is what makes this key. We'll see where that goes. Yeah, for 25 cents, I thought, why not? I will express sort of some frustration. I went to Jeff's early in the morning. It's one of the first ones there. But I started digging in his long boxes toward the entrance and not toward the middle. And I really regret that because this guy who started digging in the middle found all these like key late 80s X-Men books. Some Jim Lee in there, a lot of Mark Silvestri for a quarter. And they were decent. I mean, they weren't hey, what's up, K-pop? They weren't the best grade, but they were there. I could have picked them up for a quarter. Things like first cover appearance of Mr. Sinister, Mr. Sinister. Anyway, a bunch of great Mark Silvestri books, things I collect. And so I just was like, that stings. It's staying with me right now. But, what can you do? But you did leave some stuff in there for me. One of the things that was in there was this great newsstand copy of Classic X-Men 41. And so, while this isn't the great John Byrne cover of X-Men Uncanny 135, it is the reprint, the internal reprint of that. So pick that up for a quarter. Nice clean copy, newsstand copy of, well, not clean. It needs a press. Yeah, it's a reader's copy, I guess. Needs a press, but this is just nostalgic for me because this Classic X-Men run is how I got into X-Men. I was reading these pretty religiously, and when I first started, I just thought this was X-Men, right? I didn't realize these were like reprints of like 70s comics, and then a couple issues in, I realized, oh, okay, so they're just going back, because I realized that the regular titles and this were just kind of, so these are backstories. I realized that going in, but I think the first issue I got, I was reading it like it was like the first time. So that was really cool feeling, and just being amazed by the art and story and everything. Just so captivating. All right, more quarter books. I picked up this one here, Superman Newsstand, John Byrne cover. Great John Byrne cover there. Kicked me hard. Picked up that for a quarter. This next one, I've always been meaning to pick it up. Finally did it. It's a great Jackson Gleese cover, and that is the Supergirl Action Comics homage. Now, what makes this really cool is it's a newsstand edition from the 90s. So that's what I was hoping to pick up. And when I found it for a quarter in Jeff's bin, I couldn't pass it up. So got these both for a quarter. And then Jeff had some comics there priced half off. They were really rather reasonable. This one is the first one, and this is a great George Perez cover. You all know how much I love George Perez. And this is just a beautiful Wonder Woman cover. And so this one I got for $2. It was priced half off of this price sticker. So we got it for $2. Again, nothing key about this book, just a cover by George Perez, cover by. And speaking of George Perez, we picked up another. This is a key book, and it's got a lot of issues. It's definitely, I would say, maybe a 3.5 or a 4.0 copy of Crisis number 8, issue number 8. This is the Death of Barry Allen Flash. Newsstand copy. Picked this up for $2.50. So for $2.50, this is a key I've been wanting to add. I just, didn't want to spend so much on it. $2.50. Again, the grade's not great, but I have it. It's good enough condition for my collection, so I've added it. All right, now we're going to get into some of the con books. And some of these, again, are con books because I did pick them up at either Mill Geek Comics or Jeff's, and we took them to the con with the intention of getting signed. And so I guess we'll start with that. This is something I picked up, I want to say maybe a couple months ago when we knew we were going to go to Emerald City Comic Con and get Kevin Maguire's signature. So I think I picked this up at Jeff's. It's got spine ticks. It's got some issues, but other than that, it's still, I'd say it's good high grade copy. And that is Justice League International number 18. Great Lobo cover there. So I got this one signed. I also picked this one up from Jeff's for a quarter. This was a really clean copy, which is what ultimately made me get it. Normally you don't find things like that clean in the bargain bin because they're just sitting in there raw, but this one was, this is high grade. This is like a 9.0 copy at least. And Legion 89, great Lobo cover. This is apparently the issue Lobo joins the Legion of Superheroes. And I just got it signed at Emerald City Comic Con by the man himself, Mr. Maguire. We also got this great Justice League cover here, signed as well. Nice Booster Gold cover. This is where Booster Gold joins the Justice League. So a little bit of DCEU spec buying on my part, but I think I picked this up for a quarter, so it's, not really spec buying when you I would have probably picked this up. Well, it is spec because I probably wouldn't have picked it up for a quarter had not the rumors, the news that Booster Gold's coming been announced. But now that it has, this is the extent of how much I'll spend, and I'll spend a quarter on that. Got it signed as well, so hoping Booster Gold does well. The next book we got signed was this copy of Grifter Midnighter. Now, this is a book I am a little specking on. And so when we found this for a quarter, this #1 issue, Grifter Midnighter, I decided to get it. I also decided to get it because I knew Ryan Benjamin was going to be at the con. Great guy. He kind of was teaching some people how to draw, and I showed that off in my video. And then he signed this book right there in the corner. So he was at Wildstorm with, a bunch of up-and-coming artists. That's another great thing about Jim Lee. He helped cultivate a lot of talent through that studio. So guys like Ryan Benjamin, guys like Dustin Nguyen, guys like J. Scott Campbell, guys like Adam Hughes. Well, no, Adam Hughes was there before. Who am I thinking of? Not Adam Hughes. But anyway, a bunch of up-and-coming guys got their start through Wildstorm, so that was nice to see. And really pleased with this book. So a little bit of speculation on my part, but if Grifter ends up in the DCEU, which I am predicting that he will be, you heard it here first. So, maybe I think the really savvy ones will read between the lines and know. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, it was great to see Ryan helping, because there were a lot of sort of artists there, and he was definitely looking at people's work and giving them pointers and tips and helping them to improve their skills. So that was really great to see. Mongol will be the big bad. Maybe, yeah, who knows? Anything can happen. Yeah, Midnighter will be an authority. Yeah, so this, I think half of this spec is already definitely there. The question is whether the Grifter is coming, and again, that's awesome. Twitch, I gotta catch some of these. Like Jim Lee does a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I think he does his own streams where he just draws and talks about like technique and art and all that stuff. So those are really cool. But yeah, back to the Grifter spec. I think you can pretty much bank on Grifter coming. I think Wildcats and the Grifter at some point, will be introduced, because you don't introduce the authority and just leave it there, right? DC has all this great Wildstorm content where they're doing the books, but they're sort of separate from DC continuity. They're sort of this Wildstorm branch off. But I've been saying all along, with Jim Lee and Gunn kind of planning this, how DC will look in the cinematic universe, it makes sense to start integrating that content into movies and having that just pay dividends, just fast tracking that through. Okay. Yeah, K-pop. Thanks for putting Ryan on my radar so I can get that book signed. That was really cool. All right, so we're getting back. I agree. Yeah. Even with, again, Wildstorm, I wish they had weathered the storm, and Jim because, it was just one of those things where they just, it was a couple of bad, maybe business decisions, but no one anticipated. You don't start a company thinking in 5 or 6 years the market is just gonna collapse and be half of what it was at its peak, right? Um, but that's what happened, and unfortunately, like, that company was built in a way where there were some challenges. They had to probably let people go and just do a lot of um, financial restructuring for the company to continue to be profitable. And rather than do that, I think Jim Lee did take the easy way out. But again, he made a business decision, sold to DC. Ultimately, it probably worked out in DC's favor because, Wildstorm, that content, again, if it translates into like movie and merchandise in the upcoming decades, it's going to be huge for DC. All right, so here's the next book I got signed. So I'm going to show off something that I had in my collection. This I picked up as a signed copy from Jeff's for I think like $2, which is kind of crazy. Now, Man Young was there when I picked this up. And there's another sort of like similar cover that I wanted to get signed and just kind of add as, I guess, a supplement to this cover. And that was Justice League International number 24. That, notice how similar the copies are. You have Guy Gardner with the heroes behind him. And this one, you got like Batman, kind of just got sort of like not too many heroes, and then it kind of multiplies here. And guys asking, who let these guys in? So I knew that Maguire and Joe Rubenstein were going to be at the con, and I had this on my radar as a book I wanted to get and then get signed. So I got this book for $1 at Jeff's, really clean copy, and then I took it to con and I got it signed by Maguire and then Joe Rubenstein. Nice placement there by both artists. Great signed book now in my collection. Love this. Actually, love this copy. Yeah, so very pleased. And Joe Rubenstein is, he did charge $10 per signature. But after I paid the $10, he said, "Do you have another book?" I did. So he signed 2 of my books. So overall, great experience with him. He is, that's one thing. Rubenstein came up as Neil Adams's assistant. Neil Adams kind of took him under his wing, taught him things, but really had him helping on a lot of his artwork. And so Rubenstein was inking him, maybe doing the finishing work on panels and whatnot. But yeah, Adams was very integral into getting Rubenstein into the industry. And Rubenstein, has done a lot. His work is very extensive across DC, Marvel, and across the whole entire industry. So it was great to kind of meet him and connect with him. And he told a funny story. Again, I'm not going to share what that story is because, it just, it's not, let's just say it's something that he probably meant to say off record. So I'm just gonna, not share what it is, but it was funny. And the guy definitely has a lot of passion for comic books because he's continuing to just do what he loves. And it was nice to see him there at the con. The other book we got signed, I guess I can show that off as well, since we're talking about Rubenstein, is this book. And this is a book I got from Roger. as a gift. He pressed it and cleaned it himself, and it looks beautiful, this book. And I thought, you know what? Since I'm going to be meeting Rubenstein, and we never got the opportunity to meet Neil Adams and get a book signed by him in person, I thought the next best thing we could do was get a Neil Adams book signed by someone who worked with him very closely, and that was Rubenstein. So Rubenstein, he signed kind of over Neil Adams, which I mean, he could have, there's a lot of other places he could have placed, but he definitely wanted to, I guess, um, hit home the point that he and Neil were close, I guess. At least on page, they were close. um, but yeah, just great comic book to get signed, because Neil and Rubenstein did this cover together. So and Rubenstein did the interiors on this work as well. In fact, he was sharing some stories on the interior of this. He was kind of flipping through it, and I guess it took him back to. He just remembers everything about this book, so it was really cool to connect with him on that. All right, I guess we'll get into some of the signed books I got. Actually, I'm going to save that signed book for when we show off some of the other stuff. Okay, so I went to the con with the intention of getting a big key Neil Adams book, and that was Batman 251, the Joker cover, the Joker with the Batman card cover. Yeah, so I went to all the vendors, asked if they had it. There were only 3 copies at the con, and they were all out of my price range because they were all mid-grade or higher. The closest I came was like $375, and so even if I did have that money and I didn't get anything else at the con, I could have gotten a nice mid-grade copy. But it was actually more than I was hoping to spend anyway. So it actually, while it was a disappointment, it did allow me to pick up some other stuff. And so I guess it's a trade-off. Like, we didn't get the big book that I wanted, but the next best thing is just to pick up a bunch of books that I also wanted, including sort of my plan B pickup, which I'll show in a bit. So let's get started. One of the first things I did was I picked up this copy here for $10. It's a really nice grade copy. Yeah, I put it in like a 7580 range, and that is Superman 300. This is a book I've had on my radar for quite a bit. Finally added it to my Superman collection. A lot of these are just Superman related books. So, in fact, they're all Neil Adams Superman books or Superman related books from here on out. We have Action Comics 466, great Luthor child abuse cover. And then we have again, Neil Adams cover here. Then we have World's Finest, number 258. I really like this cover because it's like a man-bat version of Batman choking Superman there. Yeah, great Neil Adams cover. Like that. Another Neil Adams cover. Now, I am going to try to pick up all of Neil's early Superman books. It's something after the con, I've kind of prioritized as things I want to pick up. So be looking out for those. This is not Superman, but it's a great Superman cover. World's Finest 180. Superman sort of getting ready to throw Batman off a tall building. This is World's Finest 183. Great Neil Adams cover there as well. Superman and Batman kind of arguing at the UN about something. Say Batman's arguing Superman's evil. This one is just a great Superman cover there. Superman 240. Nice Neil Adams cover. I love all this. All this covers really just are so dynamic. And then we picked up Superman 215. Another tragic cover there. The death of Lois Lane, I guess. All right, now we're going to get into some of the like I have a Jim Lee sketch cover, but you can't really call that like original art. It's just sort of like a doodle of the bat symbol and the Superman S. So it's nothing like what you could describe as art. So, but I've always wanted to add some great pieces, and we were able to do that at this con without spending all that much. So the first book I'm gonna. Before we do that, I did pick up this copy as well. This is just a cover I love. The first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants there. This is X-Men, originally X-Men 4. It's a reprint of X-Men 4 on an 80s title, The Amazing Adventures of the Original X-Men. With the newsstand. It's funny, the newsstand cover of that. All right, so I guess the first thing I'll show off is this book here, and that's Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads, number 5, the variant edition. This is a 1:25 ratio variant by Philip Tan. Beautiful cover. And it's also remarked by Tan with this Spider-Man there. Beautiful remark. So I love this copy. Got this paid $50 for it. I just absolutely love it. Great piece to add. So this is sort of like, I guess, my first official original art piece in my collection, which is really cool. Just gonna get this one down here. And then, we went to Dustin Nguyen's booth and picked up some signed books. I got this one signed. I got a book signed for Roger, which I sent to him as a Super Sons. Batman. I think it's just called Super Sons. It's Batman and Batboy and Superboy, or Robin and Superboy. Robin being Damian Wayne and Superboy being, I think, John Kent. And then I also got 2 copies signed for myself. One being Batman Gotham, Streets of Gotham, number 3, which is this great sort of billboard Gotham cityscape shot. Love that. And then this one, I love this cover. Get the parallels or the mirror signatures there as well. And the Shadow of the Cowl. Love that signature placement right there. Love that Two-Face cover. Such a gruesome looking cover too. Love just the color, the contrast in the color there. Again, it's really not just Two-Face, but the whole book itself. You got black and red. Just very captivating cover. Love it. Love that. Love this edition. This is just a PC book right there. All right, and then I guess before we get to opening this book here, we're going to end with two of the big editions. So I paid, I think, $70 for an original Dustin Nguyen sketch, and it's a grifter sketch. Look at that. How awesome is that? And this was the only grifter sketch that he had in his little portfolio that he was selling. And I saw another grifter sketch online that had been sold. Hey, what's up, Agu? And man, this sketch blows that other grifter sketch out of the water. And yeah, I hope. And Dustin, when he was at Wildstorm, that's the book he did. He was the artist on, at least the cover artist. I don't know if he's maybe doing. I think he was doing the interiors as well for the grifter book at Wildstorm in the late 90s. So I had an opportunity to pick up these Dustin Nguyen grifter books, but they were really not in good condition. It was badly needed repressed, spine ticks all along the spine. And I just thought, man, but I want to get these books signed. Dustin had a 10 book limit that he would sign. I only ended up getting 3 signed. I just kind of, I should have brought more books. I should have gotten those grifter books to get those signed, but it is what it is. I know we'll have probably more opportunities down the road to meet him. And anyway, he another sort of interesting tidbit is he's agreed to come on our show and be interviewed by Naman Young and I for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And so that is what the plan is. We're going to connect with him online in May and hopefully feature him as an artist and the work that he's doing, some of the projects that he's working on. But yeah, definitely, after this whole experience with Dustin and getting this piece, Dustin is definitely now one of my favorite artists now in terms of stuff. I want to add more Dustin Nguyen stuff to my collection, get more stuff signed, and just have him be more prominent. I just think his style is just so unique, and I don't know anybody that has this style of art in comic books. So it's really, not only is it amazing in terms of quality and technique, it's just, they look so cool. It just, at the end of the day, it's about the cool factor, right? So, and then the big book we got is Amazing Spider-Man 100, the classic John Romita Sr. cover with all the Amazing Spider-Man's friends, foes, they're on the cover. This is just such a classic cover and really decent grade. I would say this, if you were to get this graded, could come back a 7.75. So this is definitely something we want to get graded at some point. And I think I got a pretty good deal on it. I got this for $120. There are other, you see this being sold for way higher than that, that are oftentimes either around this or lower grade. So I'm pleased. I finally have this. And this, having this, because, John Romita is also another one of my favorite artists of all time. And I don't have, I didn't have much Neil Adams stuff. in the collection. I probably have more, Romita stuff than I did Neil Adams stuff. But then my focus shifted to Neil because of what happened last year with his passing and everything. And I've really just maintained that focus on Neil. But not to say that, when you talk about like people who've impacted me growing up when I was reading and collecting comic books, definitely the art of Neil Adams had a big impact on me. But I would say equally so was Romita Sr. So, um, the fact that we didn't pick up, I got a bunch of Neil books, but the fact that we didn't pick up the big Joker cover Neil Adams book doesn't bother me as much because I got this copy. And that this is probably my favorite piece of work of art by Romita Sr. So, yeah, in terms of like additions to the PC, this definitely feels as significant as having picked, if I were to have picked up that Neil Adams book. Okay. All right. So for those of you that stuck around this far, you get to kind of see what I picked up here. This is a book by another one of my favorite artists. And it's not a book that's been on my radar, like a book that I had felt like I had to pick up or was looking to pick up. It's just one of those things as you you occasionally go on eBay and look up, you do a search on something that you're trying to pick up, and this ended up on there, on my radar from that said eBay search. Sometimes you should not go on eBay and search stuff, because especially if you have money. But man, I'm glad I did with this one. Oh man, it's an absolutely beautiful condition too. Wow, this guy just had its. I don't know why he had it so underpriced. Why? This is worth so much more. So I paid $15 for this plus shipping, so it ended up being, with tax and shipping and everything, it ended up being like $20. Maybe a little over $20. But the condition, it's got a few spine ticks, but overall the condition is minty fresh. And we got Marvel Fanfare number 10. Okay. Great George Perez cover of Black Widow. But more importantly, it's signed by George Perez. So it's a signed copy of a beautiful Black Widow cover, Marvel Fanfare. So yeah, this is another one of my pickups right before the con. Again, not the best advice. I don't recommend going on eBay and getting stuff right before a con, but if it's a book like this, all bets are off. Again, paid $15 plus shipping and tax, so about $20 for a George Perez signed Marvel Fanfare number 10. Classic. Say what you will, this is a classic George Perez cover. And beautiful signature placement there. Loving it. Love it. So this is the first Perez signature that is now part of the collection. So very happy to pick that up. And we'll be putting this somewhere. Kind of want to put it with my... I don't want to put it in here. I'll put it in here. We will put it in here and give it the love and attention that it deserves in a top loader. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's my haul. Thanks for watching, guys. It's always fun to hang out on a Saturday night and show off books. So, I don't really have any upcoming content other than I plan on doing sort of another comic book retrospective of Jim Lee, because I have 200 books now. Well, let me go say that again. I will be adding my 200th Jim Lee book this Monday. It's on its way. I have the notifications all set up, so when it gets here, we'll go over it, and that'll be that. So join me then on Monday when I do the live unboxing. We'll reveal what my 200th Jim Lee book is, and it is a very special book. I promise you, it's not going to be just like any old Jim Lee book. It's a very special key book to me. So we'll open that when it gets here, and I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks, K-pop Agu, Nornrad, Brother John, and Comic Book Worm. Thanks guys for hanging out. It always feels good when you guys drop in and leave comments. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.